All right, so ESPN's proving yet again how stupid they are. And it's not everybody at ESPN, and really it's not just ESPN. It's the whole sports media landscape in general. For whatever reason, absolutely hate the Cleveland Browns. And not even just the Cleveland Browns. I've noticed it is pretty much every Ohio sports team the sports media hates. And I know I can't be the only one noticing this because it's blatantly obvious. But when it comes to the Cleveland Browns, I understand making fun of us from the standpoint of last year having all the hype, not being proven, and having expectations of not just playoffs, but AFC Championship or Super Bowl. So I understand making fun of us and judging us based off of that. What you can't do when you judge us is deny the truth. And the truth is Baker Mayfield has not been this terrible bust player. Like every time I watch one of these videos, it's always, is it time to call Baker Mayfield a bust? Is it time for the Browns to bring in a legitimate replacement plan? That way they don't waste the talent they have. I don't understand how blatantly stupid this argument is, because with any other quarterback, and more specifically in that draft class, you have Sam Darnold, who was the second quarterback taken behind Baker Mayfield, who hasn't had a good year yet. And I know, I got it. There, he doesn't have the weapons. He's got an idiot coach, bad organization. I got it. And I really don't fault him that much for that. But if you're looking at comparing quarterbacks, you're hearing nothing about Sam Darnold being a bust from the mainstream sports media, for lack of a better term. But every day on FS1, ESPN, I'm seeing about, is Baker Mayfield a bust? I don't understand how you can deny the fact that this man was taken number 1 overall by an organization that has failed miserably for years, especially when it comes to picking quarterbacks. John Dorsey went out on a limb picking Baker Mayfield number 1 overall. Not that he wasn't talented enough to be picked number 1 overall, but the limitations were there. You know, you had size. There was questions coming from the Big 12. There was character questions. There was a risk there, despite the playing ability. I don't think was the question. I think it was the other issues. But you look at the other quarterbacks in that class. Obviously, Lamar Jackson, by a lot of people, was looked at as Jesus himself of football. And I'm not going to talk about Lamar. Lamar's a great dude, great player, great quarterback at what he's good at. I have my thoughts on him as far as what level he should be put at, as far as I don't know. I'll get into that later. Me and Dylan will talk about that in depth on the podcast, so stay tuned for that. But you look at, like I said, with Darnold, and you look at Josh Allen. Josh Allen has been very good. He's been very good. But it's not like he doesn't have his issues too. He's been wildly inaccurate on many occasions. And that's usually not something that you can fix easily. And I know Baker was not terribly, but he was fairly inaccurate last season. But I'm seeing on ESPN, should the Browns sign Cam Newton? And, you know, the Browns had a fantastic offseason with the draft, with the free agency. You bring in a ton of weapons. You repair that offensive line that had a couple major holes, specifically on those tackles. You know, you didn't really fill the right guard position, but you draft a center who can potentially play guard. You got a couple pieces that you can work out and see who fits. But, you know, should the Browns sign Cam Newton? The Browns just hired Kevin Stefanski to be the head coach. Kevin Stefanski was the quarterback's coach in Minnesota when when Case Keenum was there and was successful. So we bring in Case Keenum to mentor Baker Mayfield from the standpoint of he has succeeded in the system. He knows the coaching staff, or at least Stefanski. He's a veteran. He can help him. You know, Colin Cowherd says they're the same player. They're not, but they do have their similarities. So you bring Case Keenum in, and now you got these clowns on ESPN saying the Browns should sign Cam Newton. Cam Newton should be signed to a team. But as far as the Cleveland Browns, no, that's not even remotely a fit. Number one, Baker is the starter. Whether if he does flop this year or not, he will be the starter. Or at least for a period of time. So this whole expectation that we need to write off Baker already for the upcoming season is absolutely stupid. And it's very disappointing that every day I go to YouTube and in my suggestions is Baker Mayfield a bust? They talk about the same thing every day. No, it's not like he hasn't had one good year. He did have a good year. He had a great back half of that first year. Rookie touchdown record. We can get into it later. But this is stupid. Cam Newton is a great player. Yes, he's had a better career than Baker Mayfield so far. Baker Mayfield hasn't been in the league nearly as long as Cam Newton. Cam Newton also has big injury concerns. So, should the Browns sign Cam Newton? Hell no. Because it's not necessary, and it would be utterly stupid, in my opinion, moving forward. And you bring in Case Keenum, you paid for him a pretty decent price, too. So, it's not like he was cheap. So, no. Cam Newton shouldn't be signed to the Browns, and I don't care how many times people at ESPN and FS1 want to say that. So it's stupid. I really haven't watched it in a while. It's so annoying day after day to hear the same thing over and over. So all right, see you in the next video. Bye.